Hello and welcome back to Terraformers. My name is Vakata, and today we're going to continue our first look at the gameplay of this early access title. Now, if this is your first time seeing Terraformers, I would suggest going back and looking at the earlier episodes in this playthrough where we cover the basic concepts and the user interface and the early gameplay of it. But if you're returning, then welcome back, and today we are going to start off with our new leader. Again, after every 10 levels, your leader will retire, and so you choose a new one. Today we're hoping to get a lot further into our resource intake because that is our primary goal for the scenario that we have chosen. So enough talk, and let's hop back into it. Alright, back to where we left off. We had just acquired this new leader. Let's refresh our memory on what she does. She can give us a sewage treatment plant, which is very useful because it's a good way of getting water without having to take up an exterior location or establish a new water mine. Though in this playthrough, we have found aquifers fairly easily, but freeing up an external location is great because we have other external buildings we like to use. So we will try our best to get some use out of that while we have her. She also has the ability to turn silicates into titanium at a pretty good ratio. And considering that we do have a silicate income and we have more potential for silicate here at our new city, here, we might actually get some pretty good use out of that. But our primary goal is going to be to find enough resource nodes to be able to get all of these up to 4. And it looks like tritium is going to be our greatest challenge because we're not finding it, except for one little hit up here. So it may be necessary for us to expand into this location. Fortunately, we do have plains here, and this looks like a place we could found after we explore all the areas around it. Speaking of which, we do have a free explorer, so we're going to start off by doing that. Hope to find a tritium mine. Oh, we did. Oh, look at all the tritium. Yeah, it looks like we will be expanding up to here in the near future. All right, let's reassess what we need. Power. Power is what we need. And we need to get this windmill on the ground. Okay. Let's see what we can do about getting that done in this turn. We are really shy on titanium, but as we mentioned, our leader has a skill. Again, we can only use one of the skills per turn. And I think this is going to be a great time to do this. Excellent. And we have the ability to claim a location. What I want to do is look at these real quick because I think these have one-shot abilities. Okay, yeah, so if we had the science, we could convert this to silicates as a one-shot and then turn this into just a regular area for putting a building. This one would actually have a permanent location on it if we chose to take it. So I think we're going to take this one up here because we don't have the science to do that. And I want to exploit the black sand dunes before we put a building on it. All right, we have power income, finally. Long overdue. All right, let's look back at our options for our research projects. Now we know these are excellent, but I don't think that is our priority right now. More science, we just talked about how we need more science. And then the research center. I love this building so much, I can't say it enough. Getting 2 extra projects per turn to look at is a big deal, right? We're seeing 3 per turn right now. We'd be able to see 5. I love this building. We're taking it. We'll get to the point to where we can place it soon enough. All right, well, it doesn't look like there's much else we can do. Let's look again at what we're trading for. I'm going to stop trading for titanium because we know that our silicates can produce them through our leader. And I think we need to increase our income for science. And I think that's going to do us for this turn. All right, let's move on. Okay, so expectations are rising. This, again, is the mechanic in the game that keeps you from sitting still and just building up. You have to continue to expand because this always goes up, dragging our support down. And support is our lose condition. All right, I think we are going to grab ourselves some robots because we want to be able to do a lot of expansion. Also, we still have this specialization that we're building up towards, and 2 more robots, because we need 4, would get us to it because we have 3 that we can make here. So let's take the robots. And I really want to explore out here, but I don't think we're going to because that's pretty far out. That's 4 energy. We're only producing 1 per turn. We're trading in for 1. And we're not ready to colonize that location anyway because we don't have the food. So let's see what we can actually get done in this turn. And looking at all these things that we need down here, again, we need a fair amount of titanium. So I think we're probably going to use her ability again. Check one more time, see if there's anything we want to explore first. We need science, and there isn't any science to be found around here. There is some science to be found up here. I think that's what we're going to do. Because if we push our science and get this down, then we'll have a better shot at good buildings. And we would really like to get some more power. And remember, as the game progresses, the Explorer function starts to also uncover science. So when we explore with her, that's going to give us 2 more science on top of what we find up here. Yeah, I don't really want to lose the 3 power, but I think it's for a good cause. Oh, and we found more food. Excellent. I think that we will be ready to colonize that new location by the time our satellite comes up to allow us to explore that last spot near it. Now let's see, what did we need for this? We needed science. We're not going to do that anytime soon. All right, so we don't necessarily need to expand there. And we need more titanium to get that mine. So I don't think there's anything we need to do on this turn. Let's continue on. More power. So an advanced building that produces 2 food per minute. It's better than the regular ones that produce 1. As you can see, we're starting to get access to nicer and nicer buildings. But we desperately need power. So I think that's what we're going to do. Boy, this domed park is so nice. Plus 4 support per population that it's near. But again, our focus is not support. So windmills it is. And that means I really need to expand this city to somewhere. I think we'll take a blind shot at this spot to see if it's somewhere, somewhere we can place our windmill. All right, it's a nice blank spot. That works for me. Let's get ourselves some robots down. Spend a little more power to get access to the areas over here because we are going to reserve these for actual population. That's going to let us expand 2 locations. Here. And to here. Now again, that's going to make them a little unhappy because it's further away, but you know, we can afford it. Finally, we need enough titanium, which unfortunately we are shy of, and I had to use her Explorer ability. So, little miscalculation there. That's all right. We'll just get it next turn. And since we can undo an action, I'm going to undo 1 action, which removed our control of this area, so we lost that penalty for a turn. But it looks like that's all we're going to do for this turn. Pretty straightforward. We're a little bit shy on resources, so the turns are going a little more quickly. Alright, so we have an option for another bacteria spreader. It's always nice to have a second one. We looked at the Rover Explorer before, which is pretty decent to have, but I don't think we're going to go for it. I think we're going to pick up our first space project. Now, we're not going to be able to do this for quite some time because it takes 24 resources and we only have 2 rockets. Also, we don't have a tritium intake. Not yet, but we will soon. But that's okay because it doesn't count against our hand, and as long as we don't fill all these up, then we don't have to worry about losing something important. And we have our free Explorer. So let's run back over here. Where did it go? All right, here it is. And that's going to give us more science, which is excellent because we know we need it. It's going to give us the ability to build that research center that we want. And we can now found this city. And I think we're going to do that immediately. And as usual, we look for where our nexus points are before we place our population. So this is a nexus point, that's a nexus point, and that's a nexus point. So we have plenty of options. I think we'll just drop it down right here, seems good. And let's immediately place this somewhere that is not going to be on a nexus because we don't need it to be near anything special. And we now have the ability to place our windmills. So let's reclaim this location. Increase our power intake. Yay! And that really burns us for resources for this turn. If we look at our options, you know, we're always trying to look turns ahead. We're going to need to have the ability to expand this colony because we need this tritium intake pretty badly. Also, looks like we have a gigantic titanium deposit. That's excellent. That would take care of our titanium needs. That's +3. So we want to focus on expanding this location. And these 3 robots from this Android hub would take care of that pretty nicely. So we want to focus on getting more of our titanium. Fortunately, this lady is real good at that. Problem solved. And since we do have her ability that we can exploit, and we are going to do so apparently quite a bit, I think I want to stop our regular trades and begin to import products up to the orbital telescope. It's better than trying to trade for more science when we can actually push towards building something that's going to give us permanent science intake. Plus, we don't have any mission critical science things at the moment. And finally, let's go ahead and come down here and plop down this Android hub, which is going to give us more science by completing our advanced machine learning. Now, it is science per every 7, so as you can see, we can go over and try to do it again. Though we're not going to focus on doing that specifically. Science isn't one of our win conditions. And after we have this telescope, we're going to be drowning in science. It'll start being the thing that we will export when we are doing trade. All right, incredibly good turn. Oh, one more thing. We now have the ability to spread more bacteria. So let's look for the closest location that can accept it. 9 turns, 9 turns. And that's too cold there. I'm going to look for the coldest place because this is a very enduring bacteria. Looks like they are the same. Let's plop it down here. And in 2 turns, we will have increased our atmosphere, which is going to create a pretty good amount of happiness across the planet. And that's all we can do for this turn. Oh, and now they offer us a new bacteria. And I already know that this is the one I want. Plus heat is excellent. Let's see what this one does. So this is interesting. This is an example of a bacteria that actually has a function beyond terraforming. So this bacteria produces titanium for every city in that climate zone. So basically we grow them and harvest them. Unfortunately right now we wouldn't even be able to place this because it takes 1 temperature and the planet is not warm at the moment. So we'll grab this and be able to use it in the future. All right, and look at our newly expanded list of projects. We have another space project, which would give us just 20 ocean, which is a pretty good run towards our rainfall. Skyscrapers, which honestly are pretty expensive. 60 food to pack 2 people into 1 location, and they don't like being packed in, as you can see, -3 support. A food factory, which I guess produces low quality food, and more power. We are definitely taking this, and it won't be too long before we can build it. Another cool thing about this is that these windmills will work on ocean. Now this isn't something that we have addressed in this run because we haven't run into any tiles that can be flooded. But as you can see, it says this project can also be built on ocean, and it has that little ocean symbol. There are tiles that once the ocean level rises can become flooded. And this is a building that can still be built in those locations. So we will look to place that as soon as we can. That being said, let's look over here and see how close we are to being able to build this titanium deposit, because this is really the thing that is slowing us down. Well, in addition to power. Oh no, we were down to 4 power. Oh man, all right, so we need 12 power and 12 titanium. I think that means we need to stop this and start bringing that in. What do we want to trade off? Doesn't look like we need water at the moment, or nitrates. So we'll do that. We do really need to get more trade routes, but we're gonna push getting our energy up so that we can get our titanium up, and so that we can, again, get our energy up. And since we don't want to spend any energy, we're not going to explore with her. I think we'll just get ourselves some more titanium. She came at a really good time for us. And I think that's all we can do for this turn. Yep, that looks like that's it. All right, so our atmosphere level increased. We got a windfall of 100 support. That is excellent. And at the same time, the expectations went up. But that's okay, because our support per turn also went up, thanks to this giving 1 comfort of living level to the entire map. So if we look in our city, all of our people are now happier. These would normally be 1 plus the 2 here, so that would be 3. And that goes for all of our population on all of our cities. All right, now let's look at our research projects. Another bacteria spreader, which would not be bad to get up and running, though we're a little starved for science at the moment because we want to get our windmills up and going. Another source of silicate that we could build in a city, which is not bad at all. However, we already have a roadmap to get all 4 that we need for our goal, so I'm not going to worry about that. Here's a building that just produces support and more science, which is what we're really looking for right now. I think we'll go ahead and grab this. We have plenty of space now that we have settled 2 more locations. And I kind of wanted to make this city up here a hub for science anyway. So I think we're just going to build this right now. Nitrates and silicates. We got plenty of those. And we still can build this silicate deposit, but it takes power and titanium, and we need both of those for other things right now. All right, we are up to 3 science per turn. That's going to help. And we still want to use an ability of hers. I think that I want to get her sewage treatment plant down. Of course, we don't have any people in this location. I think we're a little bit better set up to get people here. So let's free up a spot that isn't part of a nexus. Now, again, this isn't going to do anything right now, but we can leave it sitting there for the future. We need to make sure it's not near anybody because people don't like to live near sewage treatment. And that way we're not wasting her turn. But I think that's all we can do, so let's go on. Oh, look at that. Orbital solar panels. +3 power per turn. I love these space projects. We really need to get more trade routes so that we can complete those in a reasonable amount of time. Also, a very interesting housing here. One that produces both science and population. I want this orbital solar panel a lot, but we're not going to be able to complete it in a reasonable amount of time because, again, it takes 24 resources. That's a lot of turns at only 2 resources per turn, and we're not doing any trading. So rather than sit on this, I think we're going to get this going. We don't necessarily need the more science, but we do need the more people. So I like that option. Now we need 1 more science, which would give us access to 2 more power. And we have a free explore. So let's look for a location that has science on it. This one does, but it's awfully close to this. All right, here's the science that's farther out. Let's take this one. All right, in this location, it would give +1 comfort of living, which is always really nice and it's cheap to build, but we don't have anyone out there to actually take control of it. All right, let's get over here. I think we're going to use this city to build the windmill. We know we're going to want to control this. So we'll take that one. We'll go all the way out here. Build our windmill. 4 power a turn, that is so much better. I think we can stop with the power. And let's get back to focusing on this. As you can see, we've quickly remedied a lot of our power needs. Now we can easily use 4 power a turn. So we definitely would like to have more power, but we're no longer desperate for it. And I don't think I want to build anything because we want our food for these 2 buildings. So all we need to do is use her ability. Do we want to create a spot for her here? I think we do. We finally get another science somewhere else. We can trade for it if we really need to. I think we're going to give up this laboratory. Originally, I wanted to give up this greenhouse. When I first plopped it down here, I knew it was going to kind of be a temporary thing. But we need food more. And we have this brine electrolyzer that's giving us bonuses for all of our water areas. So I think we're just going to let this go. Get a treatment plant in here. Oh, no, we're not. We almost made a mistake there. The treatment plant doesn't like to be near people, and that's people. So let's move some drones. You can see we've clustered all these things over here away from the people. Plop that in there. Great, so we now have an additional water, bringing us up to 2 of our 4 water required for our goal. And that's going to be it for that turn. More robots. Oh, here we are. The spaceport. I had mentioned before that there is a better version of the landing pad, and this is it. This gives us 2 trade routes, and if it is adjacent to a city, it gives +1 comfort to that city, and if it's adjacent to a mine, it gives us a free resource that we can export to a space project for that resource. So for example, if we put that next to a titanium mine, we would have an extra trade specifically for going up to a space project for titanium. So it can really help us get some of those space projects done more quickly. Now, I don't think that we need this. I would like to get another bacteria spreader, but there's no way we can pass this up. So spaceport it is. That also says to me that we really need to get on establishing our tritium intake. And we have one more that we can expand to. Let's go ahead and do that now. And let's go ahead and build that. And in the interest of getting this built sooner, we're going to do a little bit of exploration in the area where we have tritium. A lava tube is another location that we can colonize, and these are excellent. They tend to have bonus support for being underground. People like to live underground. And I think we are going to push our tritium intake. We're really not using much water right now. We do have something that requires it, and we're not using nitrates, so let's do that. The faster that we get to the spaceport, the faster we can actually build this, because we'll have twice as many trades per turn. So it's good to go ahead and do that. Plus, this is going to end up eating up tritium. So bringing it in is going to be helpful. All right, let's move on. All right, so here are the solar panels, which I would like to have had those a little earlier. These are a great source of power because they get a bonus if we put them on high ground. I don't think we're going to worry about more science. We got that covered probably for the rest of the run. Honestly, I wouldn't mind getting some more food. We have multiple buildings waiting on food, so we're not going to take the house. Let's look and see if we have a high ground available for these photovoltaic fields. And if not, we will take the food. Now we have high ground up here, but we have a mine on it. We have a mine on that high ground. Yeah, I'm not seeing many high ground options. There's one all the way down here and one over here. We could use this one because this is a large aquifer, and thanks to our sewage plants, we only need 2 more water intake for our goal, and this would cover that. So this would be a great option for getting more power in. I think that's what we're going to do. With that said, we should increase our silica income so that we can actually build that. And we have that option up here. Let's go ahead and build that. Now, as you might notice, this doesn't like being near people, and we made this a nexus point for population. So it's entirely possible and even likely that in the future we'll clear this out and move all of this, including the headquarters, over to this area. But for now, I'm not going to worry about it because we don't have any people there. And we are running out of time for her. We have a sewage plant here. We have one in here. I don't know if I'm going to bother building one in here. I don't think I'm going to. We're going to meet our goal of 4 once we have our other aquifer up and running. We'll actually exceed it once Stockholm starts producing water once our population's up in there. So I think we're going to have her do a little bit of exploration to get us more tritium. We need 9 power to get this built. And if we explore one time, we can get enough tritium to have it next turn. We just need to make sure we don't explore too far away, because this is going to give us 11 next turn, so we can spend 2 energy. And let's grab this one. Another lava tube. I was actually hoping to find a blank area, because I wouldn't mind building this near the tritium mine, so that we can siphon off the tritium mine for the space project. But we'll see how that goes. All right, now this is big. There's only 2 ways I know of to increase the ocean level, which is through space projects like this, and typically these aquifers can be sacrificed for a one-shot intake towards the oceans. So if we were focusing on terraforming, this would be an amazing thing to pick up. I don't think we're going to right now, because we need more population in this new city. And I think we're just going to keep with drones. But there's also another research center, and that wouldn't be terrible to have. Let's hold off for a quick second. I want to do my free explore, and I'm going to do it near home, even though we like to do it from far away, because I want to find a location that would be good for placing this within range of this. Another high ground that would allow us to build a research station or do a harvest. So I think I like this spot, not for what we were going to do, but instead we can use it as a high ground for the solar panels. And that means we need +2 at this location for expansion, because we still need a location for the spaceport over here. That tells me that we want robots. Now power is still at a premium, so I think we are going to back off of the tritium and up our power intake. And on her way out, I want to get one more shot of this conversion. And we're just not going to build the spaceport this turn. All right, now let's say goodbye to our wonderful and very useful leader. Hope she has a happy retirement. All right, our new options are an oratory. So she can give a rallying speech. We get +10 support per population in a city. We can only use it once per city. Or we can spend water for support. So she really likes to give support. And it looks like we get +1 support permanently for every 8 buildings that we construct after we've gained this ability. That's pretty cool. These, not really useful to us. Let's see what this guy has. Okay, so this guy has the ability to push our terraforming. Here he can vent a mine to immediately give us more stuff for our terraforming at a cost of support. And finally, constructing mines is 25% less. I don't really care so much about these abilities. The CO2 imports is actually pretty decent. But this would be useful because we're looking right now to build some mines. And we just don't need any of her abilities. They're just not useful for us in our current scenario. So we're going to go with Henry Carnegie. All right, and that is another 10 levels under our belt. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. I hope you've enjoyed this. We've made a ton of progress. We're a lot closer to our goals. A lot of our dependencies are no longer such an issue. You know, we have power up and running now, and we're making at least one of everything. finally having a tritium intake, and we have plenty of space in cities now for placing other buildings that are going to help us progress. So thank you very much for coming out. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it was informative if you are new to the game. Remember to take a look at this on Steam. It should now be in early access. And if you're enjoying the series, hit the like button on your way out and consider subscribing. I do cover multiple games. And if you have any questions about the game, be sure to leave a comment and I'll do my best to answer them. So thanks again for coming out, and I hope to see you in the next episode.